Kevin, thanks for welcoming us in your home today. It's great to be here. At Spearline, we're all about helping our customers to communicate most effectively with their customers. And more, it seems, in the circumstances that we face kind of globally, our customers are reaching out to us asking about how they can get their staff to work most effectively from home. So work from home is a real big thing. What does that mean to Spearline today, and how do we go about helping in that environment?
Well, first of all, Mike, you're very welcome into my home and my family's home. I suppose at Spearline, we're all about making sure to date that the connectivity is good into the contact centres, into the work environment. But the world is changing, as we know well, and working from home or remote working are becoming a bigger part of the day-to-day environment. So we've been doing audio quality testing, connection testing, latency testing right down to the contact centre to date. But now people are starting to work from home, so we have to start building towards those challenges. In the current environment, we have people working from home all over the world. Spearline are no different to any other company. As of tomorrow, all our employees and all the Spearliners across the world will work from home. So what we're looking to do there is, how do we make sure that the flexibility and the connectivity is getting right down into the home, and making sure that when you're working from home, working from remotely, that you have the same experience as you do in other places. You brought a question around contact centres, and that is a real big challenge for contact centres. They're very much, team-led, driven in relation to call stats, big screens up on the wall, making sure that they're answering the right questions. They've got a team lead over them with managers over them. The structures are going to have to change. And the biggest part of all those structures come down to two things, I believe. And one is trust, and the second is making sure that your environment at home is the same environment as you have inside a contact center. And connectivity, and making sure your audio quality and your data connectivity with chat is absolutely perfect.
And actually, as you say that, I'm beginning to think outside of the contact center. To date, we've been very, very successful in helping our customers to communicate with their customers. But as you point out, we at Spearline are now venturing into a place where 100% of our staff are going to be working remotely. So the quality of communication as we collaborate together is also key. So internal teams across the world, as businesses move to a work from home type environment, the quality of those team collaborations is going to impact their productivity and the quality of their outputs, I would think. Is that more or less what's happening?
Yeah, I think the quality is going to be a big part in the collaboration. As you know well, Mike, I love to collaborate, and I love to get a team into a room and we whiteboard it out and we try to figure it all out. And that's going to be a real challenge. And in particular, I'll find that a huge challenge, but I'm going to have to work around it. And it's about good practices. It's about staying within the routine. It's about using the tools that are out there to collaborate together and calling people in. If anything, we already have a flexible working strategy within Spearline. And from a discussion that I've had with a number of people who work from home a number of days a week, one of the things that can be a challenge is when they're in meetings, you might have 4 people inside in one room and one person working remotely, and they mightn't get the same voice heard. That's going to all change now. So the collaboration could be an even footing as people communicate. We're going to have to think about it. We're going to have to work towards it. But a lot of companies around the world are very successful in it. But we're not going to be able to have those team offsites, those strategy thinking meetings. So we're just going to have to be able to do them online, use the tools the best we can, but obviously making sure that the connectivity and the connections are working is the most critical part of all that.
So it seems to me a lot of business leaders would have concerns about the environment in which their employees operate if they're adopting a work from home policy. And that environment, they think about, the room, the setting, is it going to be quiet, insulated from family, from pets, children running about, etc. But it's that connection from the home office back to the business, back to the customer, that is really critical, because that's how the conversation experiences the environment, and it's either a good conversation or it's not. So is that where we see Spearline now reaching out and supporting customers as they embrace home office?
Yeah, I think in the past, in particular, go back 12 months ago, I think people were very concerned about the home environment, about where your office was, where you were working, was there children running in the background, was there pets running in the background. I've got 5 young children, so I know more than most. I live in a rural setting, but I don't think companies are too worried about that anymore. I don't think they care if there's a child running in the background or if there's a pet running in the background. I think they're more concerned about, latency, a call dropping, video falling down the whole time. So I think connectivity is the most critical part. And Spearline, that's where we step in. We step in predominantly up to now, we've been coming right into the contact center, whereas now we're getting right down to the home. And that's where we're trying to add value to customers and to do it in a way that makes their business run better and that they can see where the problems are and fix them. So they're proactive rather than reactive every day.
Okay. Trust you mentioned, and I think that's important. Businesses that get this right, businesses that embrace this, and many are being kind of thrust into this world where we now have to embrace it. Businesses that do well, are those going to be the businesses that thrive and survive?
Yeah, I think trust is critical, because if you don't trust a person inside your office, you're probably not a good match that day anyway. Trust has to be right across the employee spectrum all the time between whoever it is inside the organization. And that's where I think companies will strive, is by releasing and giving that more trust and flexibility and autonomy and authority to people. And when they're home, you'll be surprised how much more productivity people will get out of it. You'll be surprised how much more time they'll have for their personal life, for their family life. I only live a couple of kilometers in the road, and I'll save 20 minutes a day. I have been reading stats recently, and right across Europe and across the US in major cities, you're talking anywhere between an hour and 2 hours commute each way a day. So they can gain somewhere between 10 and 20 hours a week back into their lives. And you can only get more out of people in relation to that, both ways, for their personal life, for their home working life, and likewise for their business and whatever they're going to do in relation to giving back to the company.
Okay, very good. And it seems those commutes, and they do exist, in major centres like London, New York, etc. I mean, the cost of living in those spaces is huge. So, people early in their careers are finding that they have to find accommodation 2 hours down the rail line or whatever. So what does that do in terms of access to skills for business?
Well, I think you're straight away, you're at a fight, because if people are accessing 2 hours down the commute line on the train, they're tired when they're coming to work in the morning because they have to be up so much earlier than anyone else. So access is, if you say to people that you let them work from home, even if it's 1 or 2 days a week, that gives them a new sense, and they might say, well, this job might be for me. I wouldn't have thought about it before because I can't afford to live in the city, because the centre cities right across the world are costing so much money. I'm not going to put all my money into rent and not have a life outside of it. So you can actually get people to work anywhere remotely. Look, we all know the challenges in relation to technology, and particular software developers, project managers around the world. So by changing the environment that you have, opening up that cycle, opening up that trust environment, putting the right collaboration tools in place, making sure that their home environment and their connectivity is in place, you can really ramp up your skill set inside your organization. And, I can only see one way for companies to go, and that is that they'll have growth out of it.
Okay. Kevin, it seems to me then businesses have access to a global talent pool, which is pretty exciting. And if that global talent that they take on board is in, more remote environments, etc., that has to have a kind of a social impact and an environmental impact if they're not moving into those kind of urban centres.
Yeah, look, if you take Matt and I, we're the two co-founders, two college buddies, set up in my parents' garage. Yeah, we needed to be together maybe at the start to figure all that stuff out at the start. But as we grew, and it's only in the last number of years as we rolled out offices across Europe and into Asia in our Indian office, that we've had, excitement, growth, collaboration has really started to come together in all those offices. And we've seen no change in our company. If anything, we're accelerating at a pace that we never anticipated, because it allowed us to go out there and get talent that we never thought we could achieve to get. So we're getting brilliant developers right across the world. We're getting brilliant customer support people. We're getting brilliant all right across every department, and they're all over the world. If you take, as you spoke about, the social impact, and I think climate change is a huge thing that we have to talk about at the moment. And we've all got a responsibility. If you can take those commute times down, and if people don't have to travel and do long commutes, that's only good for everybody within it. We work in an environment where numerous of our customers, you listed some off earlier, Mike, and I could even go further with that, with the likes of Ring Central and PGI and many more in Trado. They're allowing these collaboration tools to work. And we've all got an onus on ourselves to use these and to make sure we use them for not just that it's handy for us, but that we get a climate impact as well in relation to it, because we're not burning fossil fuels and we don't have to be flying around the world. Yes, you do have to do that to get from now and again to get your face-to-face customer meetings, or to sell something in, and that's important, or to get that collaboration between teams working to to a higher standard. But we don't need to do it as often as we are doing in the past. And if anything, the current environment will showcase that we can work the same in companies like ours. And many more companies are just like us will be able to work the same afterwards, whether they're working in a home environment or working in an office environment.
Okay. Yeah, and I think for me, and I do home office a couple of days a week, and now I'm moving into a many days a week environment, for at least for the foreseeable future. For me, it has to be much more than collaborating on shared documents, etc. Conversation is really, really important. So I think home office can be, for some people, a very lonely experience because people do like to interact socially over the cup of coffee, in the kitchen, etc. So we kind of have an obligation to our customers to help them ensure that last mile you point out supports conversation and connectivity. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree with
Human
you.
connectivity.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think some people do find it very lonely and they struggle with it. And I think there's an onus on us within our own, for me personally, my own teams, and even going further right across the company, that we do interaction, and that every team should be doing at least 2 video calls a day with some other member of that team. And if they're talking remotely to our customers, they need to be having face-to-face conversations. And connectivity is what you need for that requirement to happen. It's well and good to do an audio call, but as we know, you can't beat connectivity. Everyone tells us that when you're home working environment, it shouldn't change from your office environment. If you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you go for your shower, you go for your jog, whatever it is you do, you stick to that environment, and then you go into your working day. If you have your coffee at 10 a.m., you still have your coffee at 10 a.m. You dress the same. You do everything the same to make sure your productivity stays at a high, or not even higher standard than you had before. So social interaction is critical. And I'm a person that loves social interaction. I love talking to people. I love collaborating with people. You know well that I could pop up to your desk and go, Mike, have you 5 minutes? And it ends up being 5 hours. So, I'm one of those people that do that, and we must figure out how to do it the other way. Again, I come back to you spoke about loneliness, and that is about doing several meetings, face-to-face meetings a day, and connectivity is a critical part of that. So making sure that you have a high connectivity into your home, into your a remote working office, that's what we need to be achieving. And connectivity isn't good enough anymore that you can just work on documents. It has to be audio. It has to be video. It has to be data. We have to go right across the spectrum, and we have to work to achieve that.
Okay. And that is a challenge. And I'm delighted to be associated with Spearline myself, because we're helping businesses kind of rise to that challenge. I think video and audio as real-time applications on the network, now reaching down into people's home office environment, it does present challenges. So we've got a future helping businesses to optimize their employee productivity in that space. You're pretty excited about that, I can tell.
I am, because I think any business, doesn't really stand out from another business unless it's got a true purpose. And I think at Spearline we have a true purpose. We're trying to make businesses communicate better together. And whether that's right into your data center, right down to the contact center, or right down to the home, we're going to achieve that for customers when they work with us. Our stats show that when you work with Spearline in the first year, we increase your connectivity by over 2%. Now, 2% mightn't sound a high stat, but if you're running at a 97.5 connectivity rate into a contact center, that's not a pretty place to be. We can guarantee within the first 12 to 18 months that we'll have you up to a 99.55% stat. And I think that's a real excitement, because you can show companies that you're achieving what they want to achieve. And they don't have their managers shouting down at them, or they don't have the people on the floor shouting back up at them, or in the environment we're going to, people at home saying, I can't talk to the customers. We're making sure that happens. And talking to customers doesn't just sit anymore with just voice or video. It can be data, it can be chat. So we can't have latency, we can't have ping times down. We must make sure that they're up high as well. So, or vice versa when it comes to ping. So, it's a real exciting time for Spearline. And the growth, I think, that's reflected over the last 3 to 4 years is a complete adoption of our software and our products around the world with our customers, to say that we are achieving that for them, and that we are really showing value from. And I spoke about it earlier in the adoption of other things about working from home. What we're trying to do in Spearline is we're trying to be proactive rather than reactive. And that's what we're trying our customers to be all the time, is that they see Spearline as the company that's proactive, not reactive. So if they have a number down, Spearline spot it before their customer spots it. If they have latency issues in their line, Spearline spot it before another person inside their organization spots it. So that we are getting ahead of the curve, and we're making it easier for those NOC teams, we're making it easier for those telecreation teams to work on their day-to-day jobs, to be implementing new services rather than working on tickets and, nonsense stuff that we all in our everyday lives. Take that out of their environment, that they're really working on the right thing. And that comes back to engineer time, Mike, as well. Engineers, as I spoke about, are hard to get. They're expensive in the environments. You want your engineers working on proper stuff. You don't want them working on tickets about minute stuff. Let that to companies like Spearline to get ahead of the game. Let us sort that out for you. And then you work on what's important, looking after your people.
Yeah, that's understandable. Fire prevention is better than firefighting.
Exactly.
For sure. Let's minimize the firefighting. So it seems, what we've discussed, we've got a win-win-win. Certainly, as you pointed out, there's a kind of a win for society and for the environment if people are working from home. The lack of a commute is putting less stuff into the atmosphere. The planet is better for it. Local economies in smaller towns are benefiting. That's all wonderful. For the employee, there's a whole work-life balance that comes into play. For businesses, if we all adjust to the current circumstances and people really embrace the opportunity for work at home, it seems we can reduce costs. People can do more hot desking. Businesses don't have to accommodate the full workforce in terms of a dedicated desk. The office can still exist, but maybe it has a different use in the future.
Yeah, I think so. I think, with the adoption of working from home, and I think the current environment will change people's mindsets. If I just roll back to another point, there was a number of years ago in the city of London where there was a number of lines within the subway or within the tube environment were shut down for a number of months due to, I believe it was a strike issue at the time. And people had to find a new route to come to work every day. After the issue was resolved, after a number of weeks, 20% of those people that had to go on the new line stayed on the new line because they found that was quicker, it was cleaner, it was safer. One of those environmental factors that they felt with. I've no doubt that the working from home adoption could be a similar stat or maybe even higher. So we are going to have to work in relation to that to say, if that happens, we need to be ready for it. The advantage for companies is brilliant. We all know that offices cost a lot of money. If people are working from home, there is not a major cost for companies in that relationship. But if the productivity stays the same or gets higher, there can be only a win-win again. So look, it won't come without its challenges. You spoke about all the benefits that comes with it. There's challenges within it, and I spoke about the collaboration piece. It's very important that we keep the mindset and keep the focus. It's very easy to say we're going to collaborate for a couple of weeks and then it drifts and it slides. It's very important that we keep that collaboration going up day in, day out, 6 months, 12 months, 6 years' time, that we're trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve all the time. So I believe the win for the company is huge. And I believe that the flexible working for the person at home is brilliant as well. And I think the hours that they come back into their own personal life, whether that's a family life, whether that's walking the dog, whether that's going to the cinema, when they come into work the following day, they must be fresher. We don't want a situation where it's a work-work balance. We don't want a situation where it's a life-life balance. We want a work-life balance. So both parties are winning from it. So companies must get to that adaptation. You spoke about office environment. We will move into a place where everyone will have a random desk that they will sit on every day they come in. And again, that will only achieve the collaboration point of view, because if you're sitting alongside someone new every day, you're learning a new part of the business, you're learning a new part of the environment. If that is only one day a week that you're in the office, what's wrong with that? So I think the benefits come, but companies need to be clever about where they're going with it and how they adapt it. And I keep coming back to the word collaboration, making sure the collaboration comes to make sure the innovation comes into the future. Because my philosophy, as you know well, Mike, is you innovate or you die as a company. And that's what we're going to keep doing Spearline. And that's what I believe every company in the world should be doing all the time.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. I look forward to the journey where we help our customers to innovate. And we watch them thrive and succeed in this new world that embraces work from home. It's been great being here in your sitting room. It's been great experiencing your home office. And I know tomorrow we're going to collaborate remotely, and I look forward to collaborating with you.
Well, thanks, Mike, and thanks for coming into our home today. It's great to have you here. I'm just getting used to it now for the next 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever that may be. But I'm looking forward to it. But it's great that we are getting into this trial phase to see how it goes for Spearline. And we've got just some great, exciting products coming down the road. And what we're doing, I can see that it's, again, a win-win for both Spearline and our customers, and hopefully more future customers. So thanks for coming in today, and safe journey home.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevin.